Hey everyone, only warning for this video is a brief mention of needles. With that, let's get to it. Starting with Quinn, as she wakes up. She wakes up back at base, in the med bay, an IV hooked up to her and Svante taking care of her. Finding herself able to talk, the first thing she does is apologize to him about her leg. He had done such good work with it, and now it's ruined. But Svante just looked at her confused and informed her that her leg is fine. And as Quinn looked down at it, she found that indeed it was okay. Not even a scratch on the metal. She looked at him and asked what happened to her. And Svante frowned, sadly informing her that she went through the same thing the others had. And Quinn immediately asked him where the mark is. No hesitation, she wanted to know immediately. Which Svante sheepishly pointed to his chest, apologizing to her as he awkwardly explained that he had to take x-rays and to make sure there was nothing wrong, and, well, it doesn't matter what else he said because Quinn wasn't listening. She just pulled down the collar of her gown and saw it there. A mark similar to all of her teammates, branded over her heart. A phantom pain of the scalpel piercing her went through her before she suddenly asked Svante to get Kadir. Svante hesitated, but then nodded as he went to get the large masked man. Once Kadir was in the room, he asked Quinn if she was okay, and she said yes, she is, and she wanted to talk. Kadir asked her if she's sure she's okay to talk right now, and she insisted she was, as she apologized to him, which caught him off guard, but he stayed silent to allow her to continue. She apologized for her outburst to him, for her accusations. She sees now that she's just been angry at everything that's happened to her, and how she just wanted to go back to a normal life. But she knows she can't now, and she's sorry. He didn't deserve that reaction from her. Kadir was quiet for a moment before he spoke, telling her it's alright. She had a right to be angry. She hasn't had enough time to be allowed to grieve yet, and he sees now that he's made his own mistakes, as he has not given their team enough time or care as he should. He's new to being a leader, but he isn't new to this organization, this life. Everyone here in this division, they are here because they went through events in their lives that none of them asked for. They were sucked in here just as she was. So, he comforts her by giving her the knowledge that she isn't alone here. They are here for her, and to at least take some comfort in the fact that this whole organization functions on the goal to help, to do good, to make sure that people do not go through what they did. It's just that, sadly, sometimes they must do things they do not like to achieve it. It is the harsh world they are now in, but at least they are not alone. As Kadir ends there, Svante clears his throat and gives him a look like a father that's silently saying, "And?" Which Kadir picks up immediately and pauses before adding, "I'm sorry for how I acted. I'll do better for you all." The end of it all brought tears to Quinn's eyes. She was already overwhelmed by everything else he said, but to hear him apologize was still a surprise, and she didn't realize how much she needed to hear it. From there, Quinn is just given the comfort of their company and the assurance that Rena is researching what these marks are. When Kadir leaves the room, he immediately makes his way to Adelaide. Though Adelaide has been awake from her coma for some days now, she is still not well. The hollowed feeling scarred deep within her and making her become quiet and withdrawn. Kadir goes to her and offers his aid, for her to come to him for counsel, whether to just talk, to cry, or just be with someone. She tries to deny this at first, not wanting to bother him, but he insists. He wishes to do this, and for the times that he is unable to be there, then he promises that Imani can be there for her. as Imani is also very caring and a patient person. She can trust him. Adelaide is quiet, but she accepts this, as she actually really, really needs it. Which Kadir nods and escorts her to his room. There, they just talk in the small living room space he has, the furniture low to the floor and filled with many large pillows. He informs her that he is one that often takes naps when he is able, and is dealing with the worst. Which receives a small chuckle from her at the thought, but admittedly it was something that sounded nice. So she is offered to be able to nap here as well, while he sits quietly by and does paperwork. Adelaide accepts, and she sleeps, relaxed enough in his presence. After a couple of days of these interactions, one day Kadir comes to Adelaide's room with a gift to her. A cat. A trained therapy cat named Muffin. He cannot always be there for Adelaide because of his work, but Muffin can. He cannot always be there for Adelaide because of his work, and there may be times where Imani actually isn't there either, now that he thinks about it. But Muffin can, and he thinks they will be a good source of care for her during these tough times. Adelaide is surprised, but immediately melts into absolutely adoring the fluffy cat as it nuzzles against her and purrs. She looks up to Kadir and thanks him, as Muffin becomes a permanent companion for Adelaide that travels in her shirt, just like a baby kangaroo. Now, the girls were not the only ones finding comfort at the base, as the boys were too. Mateo starts to become a bit quieter himself, but is not left alone as he has taken training with Kim and Hanya, learning to become stronger and steeling his resolve to be able to protect his team. He never gets close to being Tina in training, but he's able to find common interest with her as she takes him to their large greenhouse, and so he joins her in helping to tend to the many plants that they have, finding some calm here. Karth, on the other hand, more comforted himself. Being a doctor and ex-military, he has been through several traumatic experiences already and has found the best coping method for him is to throw himself into his work. Though that doesn't stop Quinn from checking up on him and talking with him. Nor does it stop Dakota from watching over him like a hawk, a sense of guilt and responsibility coming from her for the events that he went through. But still, Karth mainly stays in the research wing of their base, helping Rena to research these markings and what could have happened. Karth was only able to gather that their numbers before he was interrupted. A package had arrived for him. A package from Lino. Finally getting back to him and the offer that should apparently help Karth do his job better. Or, well, it was an option they were granting him anyways, as inside this package was a note and a syringe full of burning bright red blood. The note informed him how one option they found for him is a new one for them. To take on the blood of a demon and to earn a small essence of them, to use their power to heal if he did this. He would be able to use his own blood as an endless supply of string for stitchings that would close shut immediately. With this blood in him, he would be able to take his own health, his own skin, and heal over even the largest of gashes or wounds. But there may be side effects within this option. Side effects they do not know yet, but will be found out as he used it, if he so chooses. Karth and his player Nolan were given a bit to decide and think over if they wanted to use it, even talking with the other players and confirming with me that I would offer him a different deal if he did not wish to go with this. But even with some players feeling iffy about it, the benefits just seemed too good. So he took the syringe and stuck that needle of demon blood right into his arm. It burned and surged him with an otherworldly energy, granting him a bonus to his medical rolls, as long as he met the requirements. But other than that, no side effects. For now. And this decision was made just in time as Rena had made a breakthrough in her research. Gathering the team around, she first starts by recounting what Karth had found out, that these marks are all numbers, 1 through 7. Quinn has 1, Karth has 3, Adelaide has 4, and Mateo has 6. And so on with the other members that were there at the time. Quinn had theorized that these are countdown numbers for who would die first. But that gets turned down as they're not dead already. Why mark them before if they're just going to kill them? No, these are marks of the beings that did this to them. They're representing numbers of what they are a part of. The 7 deadly sins. Rena has found information and similar symbols that show these are marks from ancient beings, the embodiments and physical representations of the 7 sins themselves. Quinn is marked by envy, Karth is marked by greed, Adelaide marked by lust, and Mateo marked by sloth. The reason why they have marked them is unknown, but a suspicion that Rena has is that they have taken a piece of their soul. They had taken that vice away from them, which explains the feeling they experienced, and why Adelaide was left with a larger hollow feeling than the rest, as lust was her main vice. A sense of dread filled the room as all went quiet. No one knew what to do, what to say. These sounded like beings beyond comprehension, and they were, as Rena explains to them how their organization has tried to hunt these beings down before, and it's found to be impossible. The 7 sins have become listed as beings that are untouchable, to never engage with. But now, the 7 sins have engaged with them. This was serious and needed more research. From there, Rena went back to work and the team was assigned to leave the base immediately. Too many of the attacks at the time were too close to base, so it was decided that they had to go on the mission to Egypt right away, to continue with their main objective and to have distance for a while. The flight there held no problems for the group, nor did their search for this forgotten library. As with their babysitter, Dakota, they were able to find the entrance in the desert fairly easily. The problem was making it through the library, as it had a puzzle system for them to go through. Being presented with 3 doors, they had to choose the right one. They were able to find the correct door for the first 2 rooms because of hints and riddles that were left for them. It was the last door that they had difficulty in figuring out, until Adelaide remembered how important cats were to Egyptian lore and superstition. So she placed Muffin on the floor and had her choose, which she hissed at 2 of the doors and walked through the last. And Muffin ended up actually being right. Adelaide was right. They went through the final door and found themselves in a vast underground room that spanned out with rows and rows of dusty bookshelves, piles of sand surrounding or swallowing up unknown artifacts, except for a beautifully gold-decorated crane mask, which began to move with a liquidy shadow beneath it. A small voice that sounded like winds of distant time spoke from it. "I am Nedu. Who are you?" I'm sure that the whole group will remember their names in the next episode. For now, we end it here before it gets too long. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed the episode with, some mostly chill and healing time for the group. And the next one will get quite a bit of info that leads to an interesting route. But until then, keep your heads above water. Bye!